All right. So we're actually going to start at the bottom because you should already know what it means to be a complementary angle and what it means to be a supplementary angle. Y'all are like, I don't remember any of this. Help me. Take a look at the picture. Two angles that are complementary have to equal 90 degrees. So, on the inside, complementary angles are two angles with the sum of 90 degrees. These can be adjacent or non-adjacent. What that means is they can be connected or they cannot be connected. It does not matter. Okay? So, if these two angles are complementary and one of them is 15 degrees, what's the other side of that? 75. So X is 75 degrees. Okay? Take a look at this one. It says angle LMN and angle PQR are complementary angles. Find the measure of the angles. If the measure, that's what that M is for in front of the angle thing. That says the measure of angle LMN is 4x minus 2. And the measure of angle PQR is 9x plus 1. We know complementary angles, when I put them together, they should equal 90. So that's what we're going to do. The first angle, which is 4x minus 2, plus the second angle, which is 9x plus 1. When I add them together, they should equal 90. Okay. Jeremiah says we need to combine like terms now. So when I do that, what's the left-hand side look like? 13x minus 1. Excellent. Equals 90. So now I need to add 1. So 13x equals 91. And finally, divide by 13. So x equals what? 7. Okay, just be careful because they want to know the measure of the angle, not what x is. But you had to find x in order to do this. So now we need to plug it in. So the measure of angle LMN is 4 times 7 minus 2. 26. And the measure of angle PQR is 9 times 7 plus 1. You said what? 64. 64. Good. Yes, ma'am.
Is there any chance we would get I'm not saying I got this, I'm saying if we ever get a decimal angle thing?
It's possible. It's usually not likely. Okay. But it's definitely possible. All right. So if complementary angles have to equal 90 degrees, supplementary angles have to equal 100. Woo! Now I remember. Two angles with a sum of 180 degrees. Again, they don't have to be connected. They can just be two random angles. Okay? But it has to tell you then if they're not connected that they are supplementary. So it says angle A and angle B are supplementary. And then it tells us angle B is 120. So what does that make angle A? 60. All right. The measure of the supplement of an angle is 36 degrees less than the measure of the angle. Whew. What in the world does that mean?
I don't know.
Okay, so we're going to have two angles. So let's draw us a picture. So one of these angles, we're going to make a variable. So we're going to call it x. Okay. So if one of these angles is x and the measure of the supplement angle is 36 degrees less, how do I write 36 degrees less?
X minus 36.
So your second angle is x minus 36. All right, Kate. Kate's in the back. X plus x minus 36 should equal 180 then. Combine like terms. 2x minus 36 equals 180. We're going to add 36. So 2x equals 216. Divide that by 2. So x actually equals 108. So that means that this angle is 108. And your second angle then is what?
X minus 36.
Okay, so x minus 36. So 108 minus 36, which gives me 72. Fabulous. Supplementary and complementary coming back. Yes, a little bit. Okay. All right. Let's scooch on up to the top. Linear pair of angles. What does the word linear mean? Line. So what do you think these angles are going to do? Make a line. Okay. So we're going to have two angles that make a line. So if you open this up, these are two adjacent. Yes. Linear angles must be connecting. They're two adjacent angles whose non-common sides form opposite rays. Okay, if they create a line, what are linear pairs going to be equal to? 180.
You wrote raise twice.
Yeah.
Oops, my bad. I was wondering why I ran out of room there. Okay, so linear pairs create a line, which means that they're equal to 180. The other side, 68. Okay. The next example, two angles form a linear pair. The measure of one angle is 3 times the measure of the other. So if one angle is x, what's my second angle? 3x. Okay, so one angle is going to be x. And the other angle is going to be 3x. And they're linear pairs, so when I add them together, they should equal 180. So 4x equals 180. So when I divide by 4, this angle is 45 degrees. And my other angle is 3 times that, which makes my other angle 130? 135?
Yeah, that's 135, right?
Yes.
Bless you.
Okay.
I love how you make it so easy this time.
I try. But you guys are good about asking questions if you don't get it, which means I can take it further and try to explain it. Vertical angles. Vertical angles are formed by 2 lines that intersect. Vertical angles are across the V. Okay, so this angle and this angle are vertical angles. or this angle and this angle are vertical angles. Okay, they're across that V when two lines cross. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. Super smart. Okay, so if we open this up, your formal definition, two angles whose sides form two pairs of congruent rays or a pair of non-adjacent angles formed by two intersecting lines. And Shelby already said, well, wouldn't that make them congruent? Absolutely. So vertical angles are congruent. I'm also going to draw the congruent symbol here so you get used to seeing that. That's the congruent symbol.
Miss Smith, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Even, like, you know how all of these make a line?
Uh-huh.
So wouldn't it be, like, 1/4 of the line? Like, you know, instead of being, like, like, when we subtract, like, 180 from, like, 72, instead of that, we split it up or something? Or no? Is it not still 180, though?
It is, but 180 is going to come. So, like, if this is 72, 180 is going to fill up this side over here. So this is actually 108 to make that your 180. So that means that this one is also 108, and this one over here is 72 degrees.
Miss Smith,
Yes, ma'am.
can you send Lauren Honeycutt to the office for a moment?
Sure.
Thank you.
No.
Oh, act like she's a bad kid.
She is. You don't know her.
Did that answer your question? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right. Angle ABC and angle DBE are vertical angles. Find the measure of the angles if the measure of angle ABC is 7x minus 8 and the measure of angle DBE is 5x plus 10. So we know they're vertical, which means that they are equal. So we set them equal to each other. 7x minus 8 equals 5x plus 10. Which x do we want to move? The 5. So we're going to subtract. So we get 2x minus 8 equals 10 plus 8. So 2x equals 18, which means x equals 9. Yes.
Plug it in, right?
Yes.
Where it says ABC and DBE is B, like the point in the center will go touch.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So your picture would actually look like ABC. So this would be like A, B, C, and this would be D, B, E. So B, yes, is that common that they have. So when we plug 9 back in, that means the measure of angle ABC is 55. Do you even need to plug in the other side then? No. That means the measure of angle DBE is also 55. It's a good way to check yourself, though. That's right. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. All right. You're going to skip pages 99 and 100 because the homework that I just collected will be cut and glued in there. This will glue in on page 101.
Do we need to say room for anything else?
Nope, that's it. That's going on that page.
That's the only thing going on here.
Yep, that's the only thing going on 101. Whew. Okay. Yesterday, we talked about all the segment theorems. I told you today your theorems are going to be the same, except now we're dealing with angles. So yesterday we talked about the segment addition postulate, where you had to add up two pieces of a segment, and when you added them together, that gave you the whole segment. Well, guess what? Angle addition postulate means if I take two smaller angles and add them together, it gives me the big angle. Imagine that. So, if we open this up, I did not cut my flap. Okay, so what this says is this small angle right here, HIK. Okay, if I add that to this angle right here, which is KIJ, that gives me this huge angle on the outside, which is HIJ. So the two smaller pieces equal the bigger piece. Okay, so if we scoot over to your example, if the measure of AOC is 70 degrees, the measure of angle AOB is 1/2 2x plus 20, and the measure of angle BOC equals x, then find x, tell me what BOC is, and tell me what AOB is. So first off, what's my two smaller angles?
AOB and BOC.
AOB, that's my one small angle, and BOC is my other one. So I need to add those two together. Before we do that, just like we did yesterday, what's 1/2 of 2x plus 20? X plus 10. So x plus 10 plus x, which is the measure of angle BOC, should equal that larger angle. What's the measure of my larger angle? 70. So then we solve. 2x plus 10 equals 70. Subtract your 10, you get 2x equals 60. Divide by 2, and x equals 30. You just got your first answer. If x is 30, what's the measure of BOC? 30, because BOC is just x. If x is 30, what's the measure of AOB?
50.
It should be 40. It becomes x plus 10. So 30 plus 10 gives you 40. No. Okay. Your second one is the angle bisector theorem. Segment bisector meant it cut my segment into two equal pieces. Well, guess what? Angle bisector is going to do the same thing. So if I have a bisector, that means that the two angles formed from that ray are going to be equal. So x to z, this is my bisector. So this means that the measure of angle WXZ, notice that middle dot is always the middle when I name my angle, should be equal to the measure of ZXY. I forgot my angle symbol. Okay. So when I bisect an angle, that means those two angles are now equal. All right. So this says FG bisects angle EFH. So what two angles are equal to each other? If FG bisects EFH. Okay, so EFG, this angle right here, I'm just going to call it X for right now, should be equal to this angle here. So they tell me that GFH, so this angle right here, is 1/2 of 10x minus 20. What is that simplified? 5x minus 10. And EFG, so this little angle right here, is 3x plus 25. So those are my two smaller angles that we've bisected, so they should be equal. 5x minus 10 should equal 3x plus 25. So let's find out what x is. So we're going to subtract 3x and add 10. I'm going to do that all in one fell swoop here. So 2x equals 35. Cut in half. 17.5. So there's your decimal there, Shelby. Okay. 17.5. Yes.
If we get like some big long decimal, probably not right.
Yeah, if you get some kind of like repeating like 0.678923, yeah. It's usually going to be like 1 or 2 decimal places. Okay.
Does that mean EFG and GFH equal 17.5? No.
Okay. GFH, sorry, let me get rid of these X's because that's going to confuse the heck out of you. Okay, so all we did was find X. So now to find GFH, we need to plug in X. So GFH equals 5 times 17.5 minus 10.
Wouldn't we also split 17.5 in half since it's not in, like it's, like if we plugged it in before doing the half, wouldn't we also split that in half?
Mm-mm. You can either use the 1/2 times 10x minus 20 or just use the 5x minus 10 because you simplified it when you distributed the 1/2 through. Because you're not multiplying it by 10 anymore. If you had to multiply it by 10 and then subtract 20, then you'd have to cut it in half. So what do we get for GFH? 77.5. Okay. If GFH is 77.5, what's EFG? 77.5. What's EFH then? This big angle. Did you say 155?
Yeah.
Okay. And if this part of it's 155, what's this part? It makes a straight line.
Oh,
25. Good. Okay. If this part of it is 155 and this makes a line, that means that this part of it's 25. Okay, listen carefully. When you glue this in, you are skipping page 102. That'll be the first part of your homework. It's a little short matching thing. Okay, so skip 102. This actually goes in on 103.
So skip 100, 101.
We skipped 99 and 100. That other piece that we just glued in was on 101. We're skipping 102, and this will go in on 103. Because that segment thing you did for homework last night will glue in on 99 and 100 when I pass it back. We can skip the triangle at the top on this one because I'm not cutting it out. Don't waste too much time. So skip 102, glue that in on 103. And we're on my last two pages. And we done.
Completely?
Completely.
Yay.
Okay.
Does the holiday start yet?
Does the holiday start yet?
Can it please?
All right, so here's my question. How many of you know what the angles inside of a triangle should equal? Woo! Guess what? That's all this is. So the measure of angle A plus the measure of angle B plus the measure of angle C should equal 180 degrees.
I always thought it was 160, but I don't know why.
Wait, so how did this paper work?
It just gets cut in half. You can fill it out first and then cut it in half. Okay, so if I add up all three of the angles inside my triangle, it should equal 180. Okay, so that means 77 plus 54 plus y should equal 180. So when I combine like terms, what's 77 plus 54?
151.
151?
151.
131.
151, right?
I don't know.
See, I was right.
Y'all said everything all together, and I was like, huh?
Would it be 49?
Okay.
Yeah, it's 49.
So yes, y would be 49. Did you say you want to do this on your own?
Yeah.
Go for it. Rock
It's
it.
so easy.
Rock it.
Let him go ahead and Oh, but the ones in the bottom, I don't know about that.
All right, try number 2, then we'll do number 3.
And number 4.
I
Just because we add in x's, you still take all three angles and add them up and they equal 180, Jaleesa. Come on now. She said, shh.
I'm tired.
Welcome to Thanksgiving blues.
Low key, right?
And then when y'all eat turkey on Thanksgiving, y'all go to sleep. You don't like turkey?
Ew, I don't like turkey either.
I'm very impressed with the lady that we're going to her house for Thanksgiving. She doesn't do turkey, but she's doing a turkey this year. I'm impressed. Should be fun.
I like lasagna though.
Number 3 is easy.
I like it.
Mine was easy. Everybody.
It's
All right.
139.
It's not 130.
It's 39.
It's 39.
Oh wait, I
It's
didn't.
280.
Wait, shush. I didn't subtract the 1.
Good. F should equal 39 degrees in this one. All right. So let's do one of these together. So it's still the same concept. They just now added in some extra things. So all three of the angles added together. So 7x plus 6x plus 5 plus 4x plus 5 should equal 180. you just have a ton of like terms to add together. So you should end up with 17x plus 10 equals 180. So 17x equals 170. So x should equal 10. Okay, so that means the measure of angle x is, or I'm sorry, the measure of angle S is what? 70. The measure of angle U? 65. And the measure of angle T then?
45.
Beautiful. Okay, yes, x equals 10. Sorry, I'll leave that up while you guys work on this fourth one. The measure of angle A plus the measure of angle B plus the measure of angle C equals 180. And the very top where that triangle is, we're not doing anything with it. We ready for my revealing? Okay, take a minute. You're fine. One 104 and 105. Yes, when you finish with this one, it glues in on 104, and the second one's going to glue in on 105. We ready?
Yeah.
Rebecca says 1 more minute. She's working hard back there. Got it?
Wait, what is this for? I probably got every single last one.
Now, please double check me because I did this in my head.
Yes, you're right.
It's right.
Woo! Yay, us! Okay, so that's angles on the inside of a triangle. The last thing we need to cover then
Outside?
is angles on the outside.
Where does it go in?
104 is the one that we just did. The one we're about to do will go in on 105. We were supposed to cut it and rip it into 3 pieces so you can see if you take the angles and put them all together and actually make a straight line, which is why it's equal to 180.
What is it? Oh,
That's a lot.
It's basically the reasoning behind it that this stuff doesn't just poof out of midair. There's actually a reasoning behind it.
The way I look at it is that if you were to spread the triangle out, it would be a straight line, and that's what
Like, if you would take a triangle,
None called it.
so if you would take this triangle and you would cut it like here, and you put all 3 of the angles together, it's going to equal a straight line, which is why it's 180 degrees inside of a triangle. All right, exterior angle theorem, last one. It says that the measure of an exterior angle is equal to the sum of its remote interior angles. And I know y'all are looking at that like, what the heck does that mean? Huh? What?
Remote is like a TV remote? Or
No, not a TV remote.
I tried.
Okay. So what this means in mathematical sense is angle 1 plus angle 2, those are your remote interior angles, should equal angle 4. So the two angles that the exterior angle is not attached to is equal to those two angles added together.
I remember this.
Okay.
With Miss George.
Ah.
I don't remember this.
Yes.
Would angle 4 and 3 equal 180?
Yes. You can also put that too. Angle 3 plus angle 4 should equal 180. It makes a line. So you can attack this two different ways. I can find the interior angle first and then use that to find the exterior angle. Or you can find the exterior angle first and then use that to find the interior angle. I don't care which way you decide to do it. If you want to forget the fact that the exterior angle exists and do the inside first and then do the outside, that works. So
inside like 58 plus 74.
Okay, so I'm going to take one and we're going to attack it both different ways. So the first thing, if I want to find this inside angle right here, which is ACB, I would add up those two and subtract it from 180. So I would take 58 plus 74, which gives me what? 132. And I would subtract that from 180, and that gives me 48. So that inside angle is 48. Well, guess what the outside angle is? 132. Because these two make a straight line.
Oh.
So when you added those two together, you actually found the exterior angle.
That's smart.
Okay? So number 2 then, I would add up 103 and 51, 154, and that's my exterior angle, so that's GHJ. And then we subtract that from 180 to get that inside angle. So 26 degrees. Well, bam. There it is. So it seemed to be a lot of information, but it was a lot of easy information, right? Sure? They said sure.
Fast and last one.